The Ukrainian leader, Volodymyr Zelensky, proceeded to replace Commander Valerii Zaluzhnyi after a period of tensions and wear in the relationship between the two. This decision is announced at a crucial moment in the conflict with Russia, suggesting possible changes in Ukraine's military approach. However, this switch does not come without risks. The dismissal of Zaluzhnyi comes as the Ukrainian forces face difficulties in several areas of the extensive front, particularly in the eastern areas of Donetsk and Kharkiv, where there is a severe shortage of ammunition and experienced military personnel. Meanwhile, the Russian military apparatus continues to operate intensely, having a substantially larger personnel contingent to reinforce its front line. Russia has managed to circumvent international sanctions, and its oil revenues significantly contribute to the funding of its war efforts. Zelensky mentioned that he and Zaluzhnyi had a direct dialogue about the necessary reforms in the armed forces, emphasizing the urgency of these changes. He noted that the feeling of stalemate in the southern regions and the adversities in the clashes in Donetsk have negatively impacted the morale of the population. The discouragement among Ukrainian citizens is on the rise, as demonstrated by a recent survey. The portion of the population that perceives the events as negative doubled from 16% in May 2022 to 33% in December 2023. Zaluzhnyi's successor, General Oleksandr Syrsky, although not expected to bring about a drastic change in approach, is seen as someone more aligned with Zelensky. Syrsky has been leading the ground forces since the beginning of the Russian invasion, but faces criticism for prolonging the defense of Bakhmut, leading to high human losses. He is perceived by his subordinates as emotionally distant, and some soldiers have even nicknamed him General 200, in reference to the military code for fatalities. Syrsky's immediate main mission will be to ensure stability at the battlefronts, in addition to finding ways to reinforce the most capable Ukrainian brigades that are worn out, and to accelerate the delivery of Western armaments for combat, also dealing with how to manage the situation until these reinforcements arrive. Other important tasks include deciding on the importance of conducting long-range attacks against Russian targets, such as fuel depots and bases, incorporating F-16 fighters into military strategies, and the accelerated development of new drone systems. In recent weeks, units in various risk regions have reported a persistent shortage of ammunition, notably 155 mm artillery shells of Western manufacture. At certain artillery posts, after depleting their high-explosive munitions, forces had to resort to smoke rounds. The head of Ukrainian military intelligence, Lieutenant General Kirilo Budanov, stated that the availability of ammunition is one of the most critical elements in the conflict. The military assistance from the United States, worth $61 billion, proposed by the Biden administration, is currently held up in Congress. Meanwhile, the U.S. has been providing assistance on a smaller scale for several months, but this reduction is already impacting Ukraine's military planning and actions, according to American officials. The urgency lies in providing artillery shells in sufficient quantity to the front to prevent Russia from taking advantage of the interruption in American assistance. The availability of each artillery shell means a reduction in the need for infantry forces to hold the position. Unlocking American military aid and increasing the ammunition production capacity in Europe are essential actions for Ukraine to move from a defensive to an offensive posture. The European Union admitted that it will not meet its goal of producing 1 million artillery shells for Ukraine by March, expecting to reach only half of that goal. Dmytro Kuleba, the Ukrainian Minister of Foreign Affairs, mentioned that if a soldier on the battlefield were asked about his most pressing need, he would answer that it is grenades. This need has remained constant yesterday, a month ago, 6 months ago, and even a year ago. The main goal is to ensure that the lack of grenades never evolves into a total absence of them. Russia's military human potential surpasses that of Ukraine by at least 3 times, with estimates indicating about 510,000 Russian soldiers positioned inside and around Ukraine. After 2 years of continuous fighting, Ukraine's most capable forces find themselves worn down, suffering significant attrition due to combat losses. Although Ukraine does not release official statistics, American estimates suggest the loss of approximately 70,000 Ukrainian military personnel, with nearly twice that number wounded. The debate on how to accelerate further recruitment in Ukraine has become a politically delicate topic, and a cause of disagreement between Zelensky and Zaluzhnyi. The latter has advocated for the need to bolster the armed forces with an additional 500,000 soldiers, pointing to loopholes in the law that allow individuals to evade their military duties. Legislation recently passed by the Ukrainian parliament proposes lowering the recruitment age from 27 to 25 years old and establishing strict punishments for those who fail to comply with mobilization obligations, requiring citizens of service age to always carry their military documents. Despite criticism, an even more stringent proposal was discarded. The effectiveness of this new legislation in overcoming critical shortcomings remains uncertain. Zelensky is concerned both with the financial sustainability of an expanded army, considering the high cost of frontline soldiers' salaries, and with the political risks involved. Zaluzhnyi has been insistently advocating that Ukraine, facing Russia's numerical superiority in terms of personnel and armor, requires a significant transformation in its military technology. The incorporation of advanced drones and other autonomous equipment is crucial for obtaining real-time intelligence and precisely locating targets. The newly appointed commander emphasized that stepping up these investments and the integration of cyber technologies can yield remarkable results in just 5 months, given the urgency of the situation. The Russian forces, despite making mistakes, are evolving and improving in their use of drones for attack and reconnaissance, as well as electronic warfare. Since the onset of the conflict, Russia has significantly expanded its arsenal of autonomous equipment, including ground drones. Ukrainian defenders on the outskirts of the capital report that the Russians have been employing new camouflage techniques and deceptive tactics, in addition to technological advancements to protect their drones and missiles against attacks. The Russians have also enhanced the use of gliding technologies to drop bombs with greater accuracy, which contributed to the failure of the Ukrainian offensive in the south. Over the past year, the initial optimism felt by allies and Ukrainian military leaders gave way to a heavier atmosphere, a change also observed by Zelensky. Zaluzhnyi's pessimistic assessment in December indicated that a resounding success was unlikely, a view that did not earn him favor with the presidency. Fatigue within the country, conflicts among allies, such as between the European Union and Hungary, and a deadlock in the U.S. Congress have further darkened the outlook. On the other hand, the prospect of Donald Trump's return to the U.S. presidency has given Russian President Vladimir Putin hope. Syrskyi has his merits too, standing out for the defense of Kyiv in the initial stages of the conflict and for the surprise offensive that recaptured territories in Kharkiv in September 2022. However, the conflict's landscape has significantly changed since then.